Hey guys, welcome to my new YouTube video, and today in this video I am going to tell you how exactly I was able to triple my investment just in the matter of 4 months, and all thanks to one stock, that is BSE. I ended up purchasing close to around 1200 quantity of BSE on 7th of July 2023, and the date today is 9th of November 2023. The stock which I bought at 700 is currently trading at 2000 rupees, tripling my initial investment. Today in this video, all I'm going to cover is why I ended up purchasing BSE and what was the analysis behind purchasing this, and also I'll be giving you insights into which is the next stock which I'm looking at. Before we continue, there's a very important thing to tell you, and that is, in case if you're finding my videos informative, please make sure that you hit the like button and subscribe button right away. And now we'll be moving on to the part of analysis. So in this video, we are going to divide the entire analysis into two parts. The first part is going to be analysis of BSE as a company before 2023 and analysis of BSE as a company post 2023. So why exactly are we going to divide this? I'm going to tell you right away, right? So this BSE stock, it was available at as low as 300. It was also available at 400 or 500 couple of years back. So in 2021, in 2022, the stock was trading closer to around 400, 500. So I could have actually purchased the stock right at 300 or 400. So then why exactly did I actually wait for post 2023, and what really happened during 2023 that made me change my decision to buy BSE? So let me discuss about that. So BSE, as we all know, is the oldest stock exchange in Asia, and this was founded in 1875. It is almost close to around 150 years since this exchange was founded, and BSE happened to be the largest exchange in India till 1990s before NSE came into the picture. So once NSE came into the picture, they actually tried to bring electronic trading. BSE, as we know, was more popular for physical trading. So this is during Harshad Mehta, and previously everybody traded in BSE. Once things started to become more electronic, that is when NSE took the front line. NSE started rapidly adapting to the new age technology, and within few years it was able to outpace BSE, and in the next 2 decades, so from 2000 to 2020, it grew to become the largest derivative exchange in the world. So not just in India, but in the world, NSE is the largest derivative exchange. So it grew so big that BSE became a minuscule in front of NSE. So from nothing, NSE became today 30 times larger than BSE. So I'm not talking about maybe 1 or 2 times larger, 30 times larger than BSE. So as of 2023, the valuation of BSE was hardly around 5,000 to 6,000 crores. So that was the size of entire BSE company. Whereas NSE, on the other hand, was valued closer to around 2 lakh crore. So you can just look at the size difference. So here we have a company at 6,000 crores, and NSE, on the other hand, is trading around 2 lakh crores, right? I am pretty sure before 2023, none of you would have actually traded in any kind of Sensex derivatives. So not that it didn't exist. So previous to the ones which we are seeing now, there were Sensex derivatives. So there was Sensex 50 option. Sensex had also introduced other derivative instruments, but hardly few of us ever traded. Everybody stuck to trading Nifty options and Bank Nifty options. And now after daily expiry came, almost people started trading Fin Nifty, Bank Nifty, and Nifty only. Nobody really bothered about Sensex. So previously I had actually traded in Sensex. So let me tell you what my experience was previous to 2023. So Sensex actually had an option called as Sensex 50 option. Similar to how we have Nifty 50, even Sensex has 50, but not many people are aware about that. Sensex has Sensex 30, which is the main index. There's also one more index called as Sensex 50. So I tried trading in this particular option in year of 2021, I suppose. So there were a lot of concerns. The most important concern was liquidity, right? So there was no enough buyers or sellers for us to trade these options. So assuming that you actually ended up buying this option, the major issue was you couldn't clear it. In case if there is a sudden move, there wouldn't be sufficient liquidity to dispose the options. Since there was no liquidity, not a lot of people were trading. Since a lot of people weren't actually interested in trading Sensex 50 options, no broker also had it on their platform. So why would a broker simply add a new entire derivative on his platform if people are not trading? It is an additional cost to him. So this actually led into a negative loop for BSE. So that is, there was no liquidity, so no broker was adding. Till the brokers added and got in some retailers, there would be no liquidity coming in. So there was no liquidity, no broker. Since there was no broker adding it, there was no liquidity. So this was a loop which was very hard to break. But in 2023, something different happened. And that is, Zerodha started buying stake in BSE. Zerodha, as of today, owns close to around 4% stake in BSE. So in the month of April, they released a circular saying that from May 15th, you can also start trading Sensex 30 options, which are actually going to expire on Friday. So earlier to this, their Sensex 50 options was again expiring on Thursday, but this time they made a fantastic move by keeping the expiry on Friday, so it wouldn't actually clash with any kind of NSE option expiry. And moreover, they now also had support from Zerodha. So why is Zerodha such an important player? Because Zerodha has the largest active client base. So they have more than 60 lakh clients. So even though Grow might have just overtaken, but Grow doesn't have a lot of people trading F&O. Grow is mainly focused on people who are doing mutual funds and SIPs. So Zerodha is the community having the largest number of active traders. So now Zerodha was the first one to adopt Sensex options on their platform. And once Zerodha is adopting Sensex options, you know that liquidity would automatically come in, right? So a lot of people or a lot of traders are there on Zerodha, and all of them would actually try trading Sensex. And once this happened, so on 15th of May was when the Sensex options were released, and it saw a fantastic response by a lot of retailers. So a lot of people actually traded. So there was enough liquidity to fill in the orders, and overall, this led to a lot of positivity also, because on the other hand, we had NSE, which was charging almost a turnover charge of 5,300 per crore, whereas BSE was charging a turnover charge of only 500 rupees per crore, 10 times lesser than NSE. And not just that, since there was good liquidity, since it was also an expiry on Friday, a lot of people were willing to try out. This started to spread a lot of positive word of mouth. People on Twitter started tagging BSE, and they also started posting, oh, today I traded in BSE options. So this led to something called as a pull demand. So what do I mean by pull demand? All this while, BSE was actually trying to push Sensex options. They were asking people trade Sensex options. They were asking brokers, please integrate BSE options in your platform. But this time, the demand was coming in from the clients. The clients were tagging their brokers and telling, bring BSE onto your platform. We want to trade BSE, bring it onto your platform. This led to a lot of positive word of mouth. Believe it or not, the volumes in BSE started almost tripling or even quadrupling week on week. From 15th, the very next week, the volumes had already tripled. From there on, the volumes again started doubling every single week, and hardly within 2.5 months, they were almost matching the volumes of NSE. So it was not a simple task, because an exchange which was completely left out for 20 years, within hardly a matter of 2 months, they started to match the volumes of NSE, which had built a base for almost 20 years. Right? So especially thanks to Zerodha. And this was something which I was not expecting to happen, and that's the reason I hadn't invested in BSE, even though it was one of the oldest stock exchange. But in the month of June, when I actually started seeing such good volumes picking up in BSE, I knew for a fact that BSE definitely deserves a higher valuation. So just take a look at this picture, right? So BSE is just trading around 6,000 crores as of June, right? Whereas NSE is trading at 2 lakh crore as of June, right? So now, since the volumes of derivative segment is also almost matching with NSE, don't you think BSE deserves to be at least 1/10 of NSE or 1/20th of NSE? So I am not even talking about matching NSE, at least being 1/20th or 1/10th of NSE. So this is the same thing what I had in mind when I actually first invested in BSE. Right? So July 7th was when I made my investment. So after looking at the volumes of June, I decided, okay, let me make my investment in BSE. So I gave a complete logic why exactly I'm investing in BSE, and I put this up as a tweet. So in case if you are not following me on Twitter, so I keep putting these regular updates over there. And on July 7th, I made my first investment with the hope that, okay, maybe over the course of next 1.5 2 years, my idea was, okay, I didn't know BSE would run up so much. My idea was, within next 1.5 2 years, BSE can become 1/10 of NSE, right? So if BSE were to become 1/10 of NSE, currently when I bought BSE in the month of July, the entire company's value was 7,000 crore. If it were to become 1/10 of NSE, then the value of BSE actually had to be 20,000 crores, because NSE was valued at 2 lakh crore. So this was my only logic. So there was no other logic. Then I went to the financials of BSE. I came down. So the net profit or the revenue hasn't really grown for BSE quite a lot, because nobody really trades, right? So before 2023, I'm pretty sure if you were purchasing the stock, if you were trading options, it wouldn't be from BSE. BSE as a company had also done nothing much, and their profits and revenues were stagnated. So this gave an opportunity for BSE actually to increase their revenue multifold. Now, when you actually look at the balance sheet, they are a company with zero debt. They had good reserves of close to around 2,600 crores with no debt. Overall, for me, I found really good value in BSE because zero debt, 2,600 crores of reserve. So they had a continuous flow of revenue, which was not growing, but it had a potential to grow. Now they had introduced a new product, which was picking up really well. So once I invested, okay, I thought, okay, maybe in the next 1.5 2 years, BSE can actually get a value of 20,000 crores. So this was more like a value pick, you can say, which I had done, right? And for my surprise, so not just the BSE options, even the BSE stock started to gain a lot of traction, right? So from the date of purchase, I never really saw the stock go into red. So that means I bought somewhere around 700. You can see I have marked the line right over here. And from the day I purchased, the stock started to go up. So within from July to August, the stock had already given me 20+% return. So the stock in the month of September already gave me double the return. The stock came to 1,400 in the month of September. And in the month of November, the stock currently is at 2,000 rupees. So if you actually take a look at this from the date of investment, that is around July 7th, so we can see the stock has overall grown more than 200%, right? So the initial entry price was 700. Currently, the stock is trading at closer to around the level of 2000. So this is the logic which I actually used to invest in BSE. The idea was pretty simple. I was looking at the business as a whole rather than looking at the stock individually. So once the stock started to gain momentum, so as you know, I also do a lot of momentum picks. So one momentum pick which I had previously done was in IDFC, right? So this was one such bet, so which was backed by fundamentals and which was also backed by technicals. So first, it was purely based on fundamentals. Once the stock started to cross all-time high, so let me just come to the monthly chart to give you a better picture. So once the stock started to cross all-time high of 950, this also came into momentum. And once the stock comes into momentum, you know that you can actually ride the rally. So now, when exactly am I exiting the stock? So the entry is made, but when do we exit the stock? So to be honest, since my target was achieved, my target is BSE is going to get valued at 20,000 crores. So that was my rough idea in the next 1.5 2 years. Since the BSE stock currently is valued at closer to around 26,000 crores, I already ended up booking 30% of my quantity, or I actually booked almost around 30% of my initially invested amount. That means I had put 10 lakh. Now I have withdrawn 10 lakh from BSE. So I have 20 more lakh still invested. So even if BSE is going down to zero, I am not going to lose any money because all I have now is just the profits invested, right? So now I am just looking at the technical aspect, because fundamentally whatever I had expected, the target has already been achieved. If the stock is in momentum, why to stop it? Let me ride it as much as it can give me. So now I am only looking at the technical aspect of it. I'll be exiting this stock only if I get an exit on a chart. So the level which I'm currently looking at is 1636. So this is the level which I'm closely looking to exit all my quantity in BSE. One, you can see that this actually opened with a gap up. Then the next day, the stock came down, but they were able to make it close in green. The next day, the stock fell almost around 8%, but end of the day, they were able to hold this level and recover. So one thing is that the stock is actually going to stay in a good momentum till it holds 1630. So once it starts coming below that, the stock might start to lose some momentum. When you look at the weekly chart, so you can see I'm actually looking at the open of this candle to be my stop loss, and below this I'm going to cut all my quantity in BSE because the stock is also going to lose momentum. So to summarize, I initially invested with a growth story in mind. So once my target was achieved, I didn't want to come out totally because the stock is also in momentum right now. So let me try to ride the momentum. And overall, this was the analysis what I did before I made the investment. And the investment, to be honest, was for a time horizon of say around 2.5, 3 years. But I never expected a move would come where my targets would be achieved well within 3 to 4 months itself. So now from here, if it wants to become, let's say, 1/5 of NSE and wants to go to a valuation of 45,000 crores, so I'm more than happy to take it. So that's the reason I'm not exiting the stock. Rather, I'm keeping a stop loss based on the technical support. So this was my story on how I invested in BSE, why I invested in BSE, and how I was able to triple my initial investment. So now there is also one more stock which I have bet my money on based on the fundamental factors only, like how we saw with BSE, and that is Sula Vineyard. So unlike BSE, we are not going to see the stock double or triple in 3 to 4 months. So again, this is a long-term bet which I have taken for the next 2.5, 3 years at least, where I see the stock double. So there are no technical factors into it. It is only based on the story, which I believe in why Sula can double from here. If you want a detailed video on the analysis of the company, so do let me know in the comment section. So I'll be making a new video where I'll be giving you my part of the analysis of Sula from end to end. What are the fundamental factors I considered before investing? So what were the aspects of the story which impressed me about Sula and made me invest money in Sula? So this is a video for another day. In case if you're interested about this, do let me know in the comment section and I'll be making a new video on this. That's for today's video, and I hope you like the analysis of BSE. So I'll be making more such videos, and in case if you're finding my content informative, make sure that you hit the like button, share this video and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for joining, guys.